Hello, I'm Sophia Sutton, and I'm going to be doing my final project on exploring animal food products, a supermarket edition. So, a little overview, I'm going to be talking about the animal welfare issues, the human health implications, as well as environmental effects. And for this project, I decided to go to Target. So the first thing that I decided to include is meat, more specifically pork. I noticed that there was a lot of meat from a brand called Good and Gather, and from my research, I learned that it is a private label, which means that it is a brand owned by Target. I also learned that they have little direct interaction with farmers and they are not transparent about their practices. I did take note that on the label, in all caps, it says sows are not confined in crates once pregnancy was confirmed. So a little bit about the animal welfare. In this course, we learned that a big animal welfare issue pertaining to pigs has to do with the housing debate, which is between the gestation stall and the farrowing crate. The gestation stall allows for rolling, no reduced nursing, no different temperature zones, and it's often dangerous for staff, while the farrowing crate allows for less crushing, improved hygiene, a barren environment, and etc. We also learned that more farmers are moving away from the gestation stall and toward the farrowing crate, and this can be seen through the ban in the UK as well as some states, and also the voluntary phase-out that is being conducted by Europe, the US, and Canada. Some human health implications. As I mentioned earlier, it's dangerous for staff that are working with pigs housed in gestation stalls. And then some environmental effects. Waste from pig farms can carry pathogens, bacteria, which are often antibiotic resistant, and heavy metals that can be toxic when ingested. The next thing I decided to include was dairy, more specifically milk. Again, I noticed a lot from the brand Good and Gather, which I just mentioned is a Target-owned brand. I found that their farmers pledge not to treat their cows with RBST, which I learned that RBST is a genetically engineered hormone injected into dairy cows to increase milk production. A little animal welfare that we learned about pertaining to cows. One practice was disbudding/dehorning, which we learned is important for cattle and farmer safety, but it does cause acute and chronic pain, and pain relief is not mandatory in the US, although some standards require it. Another practice that we learned about is tail docking, which supposedly keeps the cows cleaner, but there's no evidence to support it. And it has been found to have negative impacts on fly swatting behavior, and it's just overall painful for the cows. Some human health implications. We learned about the transmission of zoonotic diseases from cows to humans, which can include anthrax, rabies, etc. And then some environmental impacts. Manure and fertilizer runoff from dairy farms can pollute nearby water resources. Moving on with the dairy, I also noted the eggs. I found these eggs, which are a little bit pricier compared to other brands such as Good and Gather, but this brand is called Vital Farms, and I learned from their website that their mission is to bring ethically produced food to the table, and their purpose is to improve the lives of people, animals, and the planet through food. They claim on their packaging that 108 square foot per hen on rotated pastures is provided, and that it's tended by hand on small family farms and pasture raised. Some animal welfare issues. We learned that packaging may be misleading to consumers. Most hens are housed in commercial caging systems and cage-free systems, but a lot of them are depicted as pasture raised, as what Vital Farms actually provides. We also learned that the modified enriched cage is the best for overall health and it meets behavioral needs. Some human health implications. Egg protein has been shown to decrease malnutrition, improve muscle health, and contribute to weight loss, and etc. And then some environmental effects. Eggs have 2 to 8 times lower carbon footprint than compared to dairy and meat. The next thing I noticed that was in abundance for animal food products is frozen fish and seafood, more specifically salmon. I noticed a brand called Sea Cuisine, and from my research, I learned that the vast majority of their seafood is caught in the wild, and they have a few rules that they follow, which include that it must be legally caught, protected from overfishing and poaching, and they minimize damage to the habitat. And their food product is also found from around the world. Some animal welfare that we learned about. One method of catching and producing the frozen fish or the fish in general, is through wild capture, which is what Sea Cuisine claims to do. And that is the large-scale catching of finfish and shellfish from natural salt and freshwater populations. An issue that arises with wild capture is bycatch, which is where other species get tangled in the nets and lines. Some human health implications: salmon is a good source of protein and omega-3 fatty acids. And then some environmental effects of salmon: their bodies enrich habitats through the cycling of nutrients from the ocean to freshwater streams. And that concludes all of the animal food products that I noticed at Target. And just a little closing note, I learned that it is important to know what companies you're supporting because consuming animal products has effects on animal welfare, environmental impacts, as well as human health. Thank you.